Hi, everyone, and welcome to the first of our 6 series on management plans. So the purpose of these series is to help landowners and management authorities get to grip with what the management plan for their specific private nature reserve might look like, and to break it down and enable building capacity and building the network to enable landowners and management authorities to really have the confidence to build these management plans up themselves and to speak to and identify what is relevant for you as a landowner and a management authority of a nature reserve. It's really specific, or it's really necessary that these management plans are not just a generic template using up and wasting paper resources, but it's really important that these management plans are useful for you. They speak to what you need as the management authority of a reserve and are practical. So through these next 6 episodes, I hope to release a series of 10 to 15 minute long introductions of the different chapters in a management plan and help you build a management plan that is specific to your needs on that nature reserve. So please bear with me. This is very much so a learning exercise. But as you all remember, this falls strongly under the project we've been undertaking in the Western Cape, which was looking to verify and validate old existing private nature reserves and ensure that they are compliant with the NEMPA Act. So one of these requirements for the NEMPA Act is that a private nature reserve or a nature reserve has an implemented management plan. And many of you might be thinking, but I've been managing my site so well, and I can repeat, there are sites that are being beautifully managed. But we hope that it's good practice to keep a record of what's been happening on the site. And it provides a space that landowners and management authorities can strategize into the future. You know, where can management be tightened up? Where are the big costs happening? What is the infrastructure? What needs to be addressed? So we hope that with this, it enables a platform that landowners can really dig into how they might better their management and ensure that protection of the biodiversity and the reason why that area was declared a private nature reserve. So this is really a tool to help you all, and we are so open to suggestions. If anyone has a suggestion regarding the management of private nature reserves, wonderful, please feed them through and chat to other landowners and what works best for you. That's really what matters here. So basically just a bit of background regarding the project I've been working on. So the verification and validation project for private nature reserves. One of the aspects is to ensure, as I was saying, that sites have a management plan in place and that capacity is really built in the landscape. So as you can see from the map, there are roughly 200 older existing private nature reserves in the Western Cape that were declared before 2003. So it's a vast number of reserves that we're working with, and we've had contact with roughly 100 of these reserves. And what we would really love is to start getting building the capacity, building the confidence of landowners, management authorities to even get a very simple annual plan of operation going and a form of documenting what is being done, what hasn't been done, and take it from there. So, and I stress again, it's really to just help with the baby steps of implementing and capacity building for a plan. And to backtrack a little and get you all into speed, what some of you might find really interesting is just this roadmap for the verification and validation process. So as many of you might have been aware of maybe just 1 or 2 of these steps, this is the entire roadmap of what it takes to get a site that was declared before 2003. these are all the steps that are required to now get it in line with the NEMPA Act. So if you'd like to delve into this, I think it's really useful that landowners are up to speed with what is going on. And so please reach out and I can share this document. As you can see, there's just a screenshot of a document on the left there that breaks this whole roadmap down for you, that you can understand what is happening and when things are needed and what has been done largely behind the scenes that you might not have been aware of. And then going into what is important for today is the management plan. So the idea behind these series is that there are 5 to 6 sections within the management plan, and each of these little series, 10 to 15 minutes long, will break each of these chapters down. Of course, some sections you might choose to skip, some sections you might choose to change the order in, but it's a huge advantage of breaking this massive document into more bite-sized chunks. So we'll do section 1, which is the background of the plan today, and a little bit of the theory. And then what I would suggest is we start at that strategic management framework, the APOs, and you see it's a little Excel spreadsheet, and we'll identify what are the specific key performance areas specific to your reserve, which are really important to identify. So quickly, this is what I'm talking about when I say key performance areas. So all of these are within the management plan template, but the idea is that you as the landowner and as the management authority will choose which ones are appropriate for you and delete the rest. So there's no way that the plan is saying, right, this is what entails a private nature reserve and you need to do all of this. No, that is not the case. You need to select what is appropriate for you and tailor make the management and the activities to your needs. So for example, in the first KPA, the biodiversity and ecological components, all of those 1 to 5 might not be appropriate for your reserve. The only ones that might be appropriate for you, I don't know where you might be in the Western Cape, but it might be, it's fynbos area, so it might be integrated wildfire and invasive alien plants, and there might be a bit of rehabilitation and restoration needed. Those are the only 2 you need to select. And then where that would go further is what actions are then needed this year, and in a year's time, those actions will be assessed, whether you achieve them or not a problem. But it really, this is a way of identifying where is the need, where a landowner is needing help, where is their capacity, where is there not capacity. And by enabling landowners to do this and to start keeping a record, it really helps funders to get an understanding and facilitators to get an understanding of what is needed in the landscape. So again, this is not a dictatorial exercise as well. This is to enable you to choose what suits your reserve and your management styles. So what I'm going to do next is just share a Word document, which is this first chapter. So if you can see my screen, you'll see it's just a 6-page little intro of what the management and a bit of the theory behind it. So I won't delve too deep. This document is available. I can make all 6 sections available to you, and I'll release a little series with each section that goes out. But as you can see, it's really important to personalize it. A cover image of and a nice image of your nature reserve is lovely. And I really invite you to get down with these documents and just make them your own. So as it says, a little bit of a purpose of this plan, it's a strategic tool. It's to enable you and give you the space to plan what is needed, what is not needed, enable that future thinking, and just document what is the management that has been working on the site, and to think where is work possibly needed in the future. That also lends you and enables people to think where help might be needed. And the breakdown and the structure of the plan. So each of these sections, we have section 1, which is the background, which we're doing now. Section 2 is the site description, which a lot of that information landowners can fill in themselves. The strategic management frameworks and the zonation plans. There's always help from myself and Cape Nature staff regarding the maps and the zonation plans. But if a landowner can get a start, that's always a huge, huge help. And then the operational management framework, and then the last one, implementing the strategic management plan. And that speaks largely to the annual plan of operation. And the annual plan of operation is, in essence, what this is all about. It plans what actions are happening this year, what time, the time frame they'll happen in, what cost might be occurred with your alien clearing, or what money is being spent on that alien clearing or infrastructure. And to tick it off at the end of that year, whether you have managed to achieve it and whether you haven't managed to achieve it, and it can be the first priority for the next year. So that's something definitely to bear in mind with these management plans. It's a form of keeping a track. It's not a form of, this is for your own benefit. It's not for someone to be looking over your shoulder and saying, why was this not achieved? But it's more seeing and being like, oh, you might need support in this aspect, and we can see that you've tried, and now let's try and access funds to help you further. That's just a little example of how keeping track and keeping records would help. So essentially what this management plan is based on is adaptive management. And you might think, oh, how does a plan that's printed out be adaptive? The idea is that through the annual review, it allows you to restructure, reassess, and realign what is needed on the reserve, that you can adapt to what threats might be coming your way. So we live in a world that there are constantly new threats. A management authority needs to adapt adequately, timely, and that management plan needs to reflect that. So the idea is that this plan sets out the context of the reserve. It is a space that the objectives, the vision, and the actions are documented. And then that monitoring is in place. It generates that baseline, essentially. Then from that baseline, we can evaluate and learn. And from that, we can really see, or as the management authority can really be like, hey, there's a problem happening here, let's adapt, let's change our management slightly, let's tighten up those finances, let's spend money there, let's not spend there, really get that management effective. That's at the end of the day what we really want, is effective management for biodiversity conservation. And the best way that is being done is through private land and the good work being done. So another aspect to consider, and again, this is very theoretical, this first section, but looking at the legislation. So of course, as many of you would know, private nature reserves that were declared under the old ordinance are brought under this big umbrella of the National Environmental Management of Protected Areas Act that was introduced in 2003. And what we're just trying to do is ensure these older private nature reserves are now, a couple of years down the line, in line with this act to make it more seamless. Then we do have a list. So as landowners in South Africa, regardless of if you are a private nature reserve or a farmer, it's really important to be aware of acts and legislation regarding land. So this Appendix A is quite useful. It just brings to your attention certain legislation that is relevant to landowners. And that's just, the management plan does make reference to this, just to be aware of. And that's basically summing up what this first section looks like. And the last little bit is just the declaration status. So we'll refer to the Gazette notice that your reserve was published in and make reference for that. So that is our very first episode. Thank you so much for joining. And the next section, we're going to be breaking down a little deeper and deep diving into those KPAs and what is specific for you as a landowner, as a management authority, to choose and manage for your particular site. So we'll dive a bit deeper into the APO and start from the back. So looking forward to that. All the best. Have a good evening. Bye.